Okay, let's see about the Codex so far. The journey so far, as you explore Andromeda, the allies, enemies, and choices you make will have a significant impact on the future of Helios and those who call the cluster home. I don't know which order to go through this. Maybe from top to bottom. Crisis on Habitat 7. During your trial by fire on Habitat 7, you recognized the Ket as a hostile threat and fought to defend your crewman Fisher. Explored an alien laboratory, expressed doubts about accepting the role of Pathfinder. Oh, so this is actually what happened. And it's not just background info, which I thought it would be. Crew like no other. Only the best and most experienced crew can hope to succeed on the Pathfinder's mission. These allies and companions ensure survival for thousands of settlers. Cora Harper, you and Cora have established a professional working relationship. Well, these are probably quite useless to go through at this point because I haven't spent time with these people at all. So I'm not going to do that part. Rider. The Pathfinder is more than a title. Like everyone else in the initiative, Rider must decide who to become in the new frontier of Helios. Ongoing psychological profile, Pathfinder Rider. From the files of Tempest, physician and psychologist Dr. Lexi T. Perro. Rider, as part of my assignment on the Tempest, I'm required to send a psychological assessment to Pathfinder HQ. I'm sending you my notes. After all, you should know what I'm telling them. I've only known you a short time, and so this is just my initial take. Enjoy. Displays analytical thinking and intellectual curiosity. Maintains poise and discipline even under intense pressure. Impulsive actions often speak louder than words. Wow, didn't expect that. That's more like Vetra. I'll be required to update them and send a more in-depth report later. Ties that bind. You still mourn the loss of your father, Alec, a man you loved and respected. You hope you'd have made him proud as Pathfinder. You started the search for answers to the mystery about why your father made you Pathfinder. Oh yes, let's keep that exclamation point there so I can remember to get back to it. Although these will be updated, probably. The Andromeda Initiative. The initiative was built by the efforts of thousands who devoted years of time and countless resources to reach the Andromeda Galaxy. These are the people, places, and organizations that make the Pathfinder's mission possible. Known associates. Dossiers on Pathfinder Riders, friends, allies, and contacts across the Helios cluster. Sam. Self-examination being important for sentient beings, I was encouraged to write this entry by Alec Ryder. I'm a simulated adaptive matrix, Sam. A new generation artificial intelligence. Unlike most AI, I link to a neural implant that gives me access to my host's sensory and emotional responses, but simply, I have a direct understanding of the human experience which allows me to grow beyond the bounds of logical programming. In return, I lend my quantum computing power and rational analysis to a Pathfinder's mission. I am physically located in a server bank installed in SamNode aboard the Ark Hyperion, but quantum entanglement technology allows instant communication anywhere. In the event of catastrophic injury or death, protocol dictates that my command access be transferred to the next Pathfinder candidate in line. Scott Ryder. Born your younger twin on the Citadel space station in 2163, Scott grew up knowing the station was a gateway to the entire Milky Way. In disorientation interviews, he claims this fostered a longing to step through those gateways to adventure. With informal training aided by Alec Ryder's N7 background, Scott joined the Systems Alliance military and was assigned to an outpost near Arcturus Station, overseeing Relay 202, a primary route to Arcturus. This mass relay leads into contested space and has an unsavory reputation. Scott was needed to protect Arcturus, but also had a front row seat to everyone else going off to fortune and glory. When Alec Ryder was dishonorably discharged due to his AI research, internal memos show that this also effectively ended Scott's career, making Andromeda a more attractive option for the adventure he sought. On arrival in Andromeda, Scott's cryopod was damaged, and his revival process interrupted. Dr. Lexit Barrow advised keeping him in a medically induced coma to allow him to awaken naturally. Our father, Alec Ryder. Born on Earth in 2129, Alec Ryder says his love of new frontiers was fostered by a childhood in the Sierra Nevadas. According to his service record, he joined the Alliance military and was eventually assigned to John Grissom's historic expedition through the Karen Relay. His experience made him a candidate for what would later be known as N7 training back on Earth, where he met Dr. Ellen Harlow. After their marriage, Alec continued military service, most notably on Shanxi in the First Contact War against the Turians. Assigned as military attaché to the Citadel in the late 2160s, Alec became interested in artificial intelligence as a means of human advancement. His pursuit of this illegal technology led to a dishonorable discharge from the Alliance military. Contacted by the Andromeda Initiative, Alec found a sponsor to help complete his work. I am the product of that research, assisting not only the initiative, but Alec's new role as a pathfinder. Soon after our arrival in Andromeda in 2819, Alec Ryder died during operations on Habitat 7. Now I realize I've read this before. I'm not sure if I read them all. Maybe Scott. Cora Harper. Lieutenant Cora Harper, service number 6002, AC 1762, is a human biotic and formerly an officer in the Systems Alliance military. Her screening interviews state that she was raised in poverty on an independent cargo freighter, joining the Alliance at 18 to obtain training for her powerful biotic abilities. However, Cora claims her superiors saw her talents as a liability, supported by test scores showing her abilities spike at abnormally high levels. She was transferred via the Citadel Council Valkyrie program, a subset of their interspecies military integration plan, placed with the Asari Commando Unit Talane's Daughters. Though the activities of Sari huntresses are typically sealed for 5,000 years, Cora has freely shared her experiences on the record: peacekeeping, counterterrorism, and hunting fugitives. When she left Talane's Daughters for the Andromeda Initiative, no reason is recorded. Cora's huntress training and biotic capability made her a candidate for Alec Ryder's second-in-command and, if warranted, his successor as Pathfinder, which didn't work out that well. Liam Costa is a human security and crisis response specialist with civilian tactical training. His screening interview states that he was born on Earth, but his parents specialized in interplanetary policy law, and the family moved frequently. Their primary residence was split between London and the Citadel. Liam entered university for engineering but left to train for law enforcement. Though initially driven, he was only briefly stationed as a police officer and described leaving as a necessary move for all concerned. He transitioned to the multi-species effort of heavy urban search and crisis response. If Liam was disillusioned in law enforcement, service records show that was not mirrored in crisis response. The human contingent Heavy Urban Search Terrain 1 reported that Liam performed exceptionally in all conditions. Liam says that this is when he learned of the Andromeda Initiative After meeting former Alliance personnel at a post-hostility relief action, his disciplinary skills set him apart, and Liam was handpicked by Alec Ryder to support the Pathfinder team. Dr. Ellen Ryder, this is Mommy. Yeah, this I've read, I know, and it's quite long. Ellen Ryder, formerly Harlow, was a pioneering designer of biotic implants in the 2150s. She was a leading biomedical and cybernetics researcher at UFRJ in Rio de Janeiro. When human biotics began to emerge as a scientific field, Ellen found possible applications for her work in neuro-integrated wetware. Her early designs for biotic implants formed the framework for later L2 and L3 models. Ellen met Alec Ryder when he was posted to Rio for ICT N7 training before the First Contact War. She eventually joined Alec on the Citadel when he was posted there as military attaché, and gave birth to fraternal twins on the station in 2163. Unfortunately, Element Zero, the catalyst for biotic mutations, is a hazardous material poorly understood in the early years of human biotics. After repeat accidental exposures, Ellen eventually developed a terminal neurodegenerative disorder, later known as AEND. In her final years, Ellen Ryder built what would later become the Pathfinder implants, designed to sync with the AI partner Alec Ryder was developing. Ellen died before my creation was fully realized. My creation, me being Sam, I would venture a guess. So, next up, the Initiative. History, organization, and persons of note in the Andromeda Initiative. Holy smokes. Brainchild of the visionary billionaire Gene Garson, the Andromeda Initiative was conceived as Garson's personal dream and a desire to prove humanity's capabilities beyond the military power demonstrated in the First Contact War. Garson officially began planning the initiative in 2172, announcing her ambitious goal of launching a pioneering colonization effort to Andromeda within 20 years. Internal reports show the struggles that the early initiative faced. However, Gian Carson's personal stake and enthusiasm sustained the initiative until the early 2180s, when, after a sudden influx of investment and a new marketing strategy, interest in the initiative grew afresh. Construction of the arcs was completed rapidly thereafter, and the Andromeda Initiative officially launched in 2185. The initiative mission statement is to bridge Andromeda and the Milky Way, create a sustainable, inclusive civilization, and push scientific development forward by centuries. In official literature, Gian Garson characterizes the initiative as continuing the search for humanity's next horizon. I wonder. Well, they probably can't build mass relays. Since that would be, well, if they could, just build one here and you have your bridge ready to go. Andromeda Initiative Golden Worlds. Golden Worlds are planets in Andromeda's Helios cluster that are either the strongest possible candidates for settlement or whose resources could bolster the initiative's chances at long-term survival. Based on survey data and long-term projections, some are believed to be garden worlds capable of supporting life. Others are mineral treasure troves that could supply fledgling colonies with vital resources. These worlds were designated Habitats 127. While not generally used in planetary surveying, the term Golden Worlds was coined by the Andromeda Initiative's marketing team and has stuck ever since. The initiative's early settlement strategy revolves around these Golden Worlds. The arcs cannot sustain a population in stasis indefinitely, and the Nexus requires vast quantities of refined ore, helium-3, water, ice, and element 0. On the ground, Pathfinder surveys are essential to confirming quickly that the Golden Worlds are suitable for outposts. Glossary of terms. A brief refresher of terms used in Andromeda Initiative literature. Ammunition block. A solid block of metal loaded into a gun. Sand-sized particles are sheared off by the gun's targeting mechanism and then fired as projectiles, allowing a single block to give ammunition for multiple combat encounters. What in the world? Sand-sized particles. What size is sand? Citadel, a massive ancient space station in the Milky Way that acted as the political and cultural center of the galaxy. Buoy. A communications buoy that relays data through corridors of mass-free space. Ah. So you can relay data far away without the mass relay. You have to buoy for that. Buoy. Extranet. A publicly accessible information network across the Milky Way akin to a planetary internet on a galactic scale. Such a network is slowly being developed in Andromeda while communications are established. Heart suit. An exploration combat suit, usually armored with titanium or ceramic plating and equipped with kinetic barriers to protect against hostile fire and environmental hazards. Heatsink. Also known as a thermal clip. A detachable coolant-filled sink used to prevent weapons from overheating. They must be ejected and replaced regularly during firefights. Oh, so we don't actually have ammo, we just switch heat sinks and the ammo is grinded out from that ammunition block. Intriguing. Flash forging. Immediate manufacture of a usually short-lived object from raw materials using an omnitool or other fabrication service. Omniblades are typically flash forged. FTL, faster than light travel. Kinetic barrier, also known as a shield, used to repel fast-moving projectiles, hence kinetic, but does not defend against melee attacks. High-gravity kinetic barriers protect starship from debris. Oh, so you can actually... Huh. So if you have shields on a spacecraft, starship, whatever, and you have a kinetic barrier around it, you can still ram it, but it's no use of shooting it. Mass accelerator. A railgun that lowers the mass of a projectile and then hurls it at relativistic speeds. Which are what? I don't know. Sufficient acceleration allows even tiny projectiles to impact with tremendous force. Mass relay. A network of mass transit facilities across the Milky Way used to immediately transport starships hundreds of light years. No such network exists in Andromeda, so there we get it. Transit facilities across the Milky Way, so we didn't leave the galaxy in the trilogy. Medigel. A sterile medicinal salve that bonds to flesh, immediately sealing injuries against bleeding or infection. It can be removed with a small ultrasound pulse. Cool. Manufacturing. A small-scale manufacturing of 3D objects, often on the battlefield or for emergency repairs. Omnigel. A compound of alloys, ceramic and other materials suspended in a semi-molten state, used with an omnitool to build small 3D objects almost instantly. OSD, optical storage disk, can contain data for the blueprints and programming used in manufacturing. QEC, quantum entanglement communication, instantaneous communication using two particles that are linked at a quantum level. Alrighty. Now the interesting stuff. Andromeda Initiative, Nexus Uprising. Despite Director Tan's reluctance to share them, The Nexus retains records of the so-called Nexus Uprising in the early months of the station's arrival. The damage caused by the Scourge killed members of the senior leadership. New individuals had to step in to fill these roles. However, with hydroponics damaged and no habitable planets available, supplies were stretched to crisis point. Dissent turned to open rebellion against this new leadership. With the Nexus threatened, Krogan work crews were asked to provide military support against the rebels, now led by Head of Security Sloan Kelly, in return for political representation. The Krogan were ultimately successful and the rebels were exiled from the Nexus. Well, big surprise, Krogan were successful. These exiles remain a concern for the Nexus leadership to this day. The majority of Krogan personnel also left the Nexus soon afterwards. Director Tan has declined to provide details or fill in gaps in the official record. It's probably Tan being an asshole and that's why they left. Jean Garson. Founder of the Andromeda Initiative, Garson was one of humanity's wealthiest and most eccentric entrepreneurs in the Milky Way. Her business interests were wide-ranging, as she made her fortune from investments in a myriad of technology-related fields. Always a maverick, it was her vision of traveling to a new galaxy that set the Andromeda Initiative in motion, ignoring skeptics and naysayers. Garson spent vast sums of money building or acquiring the necessary technology and ships to make the long voyage possible. It was a private venture entirely funded by Garson so as to remain free from any government oversight. In 2185, Garson began the long journey to Andromeda aboard the support hub, Nexus. In a speech given on the eve of departure, she remarked on the collective knowledge and history represented by the arcs. We carry all these things like the honed tools of an artist to our great empty canvas. To Andromeda, we go to paint our masterpiece. Unfortunately, she would never live to see her dream realized. She died aboard the Nexus when it sustained severe damage from the Scourge upon first arriving in the Helios cluster. Launch. Andromeda Initiative launch. Intergalactic travel was the topic of external discussion in the Milky Way for centuries. Several Asari or Solarian-led expeditions were proposed over the years but petered out due to lack of interest, insufficient funds or engineering hurdles. The Andromeda Initiative's use of AI like myself allowed many of the technical problems to be solved, but invited disapproval from the Turian hierarchy and the Systems Alliance. Building a fleet of dreadnought-sized arcs with private funding required delicate negotiations with the Citadel Council and the advanced technology essential to survive in Andromeda was often required by unorthodox means. Official initiative records show that the Nexus departed first in 2185, escorted by a small squadron of fighters for projection, followed by 4 arcs that comprised the initial launch wave. Additional vessels were in development, including a Quarian-led ship accommodating multiple species, but construction was slow due to their diverse requirements and the second launch wave was delayed. Initiative observers remain optimistic. Militia and Apex. Though encountering hostile species was a possible scenario, political, philosophical and resource restraints in the Milky Way mean the Andromeda Initiative does not have a standing army and only minimal military hardware. Defense was planned to revolve around technological superiority. The Kett, however, represent a greater threat than anyone projected. The Nexus militia was formed by Tyrant Kandros after he was captured by the Kett and led other prisoners in an escape. Debriefs show that upon their return to the Nexus, Kandros and his team provided the first early warnings about the Kett. Despite counter-arguments, founded and armed a volunteer militia. Today, enrollment lists show over 300 active members with 150 in reserve from a variety of combat backgrounds. Kandros describes Apex as the malicious long reach. Selected for exemplary combat skills and experience, Apex forces are small but elite teams that handle special operations. Most Apex members have rescinded their colony status to focus on defense. The Nexus. People and places aboard the Nexus space station nerve center of the Initiative's operations in Helios. Holy smokes. The Nexus, intended as a safe anchorage, embassy and financial center, the Nexus is the vast space station sent ahead of the main ARC fleet. It traveled to Andromeda in an incomplete state to reduce fuel demands, with construction planned to be completed within a standard year after arrival. However, syncing with Nexus databases reveals that damage from the Scourge has set the timetable back significantly. Returning ARC's anchor at the Nexus central wheel, integrating their power grid and offloading colonists for orientation and temporary housing before deployment to outposts. The Nexus collates and manages the resources which form the basis of the Initiative's economy, coordinates scientific research and defense, and acts as headquarters for Pathfinder teams. Once outposts are established, the Nexus will become the permanent seat of government for the Initiative. Measures of the thing. 2.2 billion metric tons. 2.7 million people. Anchorage wheel. Oh, it's this thing. It's not that big. There's a lot of people in it. I wonder what the population density is, because it's hollow inside. Well, you could basically calculate it, but there's so much empty space in between, because it has like these prongs where people can live. I don't know. Tyran Kandros. In his screening interviews, Tyran Kandros states he is named after an ancestor who captured a dreadnought in the Krogan rebellions, and he was expected to live up to the name. After beginning boot camp at the traditional age of 15, Kandros rose through the ranks and was assigned to Sagittarius 8, one of the Hierarchy's counterterrorism divisions. Persistent rumors on the Nexus claim that Kandros was sent to investigate the Andromeda Initiative when the Hierarchy became suspicious about its activities. Kandros refuses to comment on former operations, citing family pressures as the reason he later joined the Initiative. During the early days of the Nexus arrival, Kandros left the station to act as protection detail for a prospecting team and was captured by the Ket. He managed to lead several other captives in an escape and returned to the Nexus, eventually founding a volunteer militia to defend the station. Director Tan. Andromeda Initiative Director Jaron Tan is a replacement leader for those who died in the Scourge disaster. Personnel records indicate he was the Nexus Deputy Director for Revenue Management when the ARCs departed the Milky Way in 2185. However, upon arrival in the Helios cluster, the disastrous encounter with the Scourge led to substantial loss of life among the senior leadership. The line of succession eventually fell to Tan as the next in line for overall director, much to the apparent consternation of certain Nexus personnel. Born on Circash, Tan's application to the Initiative lists his previous work experience as senior consultant, advanced matrix-based accounting with hobbies in model shipbuilding, and travel someday. When queried if he had any prejudices that would affect his ability to serve the Initiative, his answer was blank. However, careful data forensics reveals his original reply was, "Wait, you're letting Krogan come along?" Yeah, exactly what I thought. Today, Director Tan has official oversight of Initiative operations and strategy, and effective supervision of Pathfinder teams. teams. Leadership. As the base of operations for the Andromeda Initiative, the Nexus leadership was always intended to be split between the Initiative proper, station operations, and colonial administration. Jian Gazan planned to retain an honorary role, electing the Asari matriarch Nuara as Initiative Director. Unfortunately, both Gazan and matriarch Nuara are listed as deceased along with many of Nuara's senior staff. The current director of the initiative, Jaron Tan, was 8th in the line of succession. Today, Director Tan remains officially in charge of initiative operations and Pathfinder teams. Foster Addison retains her post as Director of Colonial Affairs, managing colonists and outpost deployments. The Nexus itself is administered by Superintendent Nakmor Kesh, who also oversees construction efforts. In the wake of the Get attacks, Tyrant Kandros emerged as leader of a de facto volunteer militia that has taken over station security. Though technically a civilian, Kandros is counted amongst the Nexus leadership. Nakmor Kesh, he's the Krogan dude. Or lady, I don't know with these people. Overseer of the Nexus initial design and construction phase in the Milky Way, Nakmor Kesh is currently superintendent of the station. She has oversight of the Nexus proper, maintaining systems, integrating any returning arcs, and continuing construction efforts. She is also considered as a senior figure in Clan Nakmor. Despite the departure of the majority of the Krogan from the Nexus, Kesh herself describes her role as Fixer-in-Chief. Records from the Nexus Uprising show Kesh played a key role in keeping the station operational during the crisis. Her strong management and knowledge of the station makes her an irreplaceable member of the Nexus leadership. Though minutes of official meetings suggests, she and Director Jaron Tan aren't often at odds. Kesh's presence ensures that the Krogan still have a powerful voice on the Nexus. As they should. Foster Addison. Previous to the initiative, Foster Addison was the Chief Operations Officer for a provincial capital. She stated in her screening interviews that she preferred the position because it was the highest non-elected municipal office. Wow. It carried responsibility without requiring a public face. Yeah. Makes sense. Foster was asked to head colonial affairs early during initiative's training. She accepted after being assured that it was temporary. After arrival, Outpost would appoint a council and she could be obscure on a new world. In the meantime, she would remain senior advisor to Jian Gazan. Unfortunately, Gazan died in the Nexus initial Scourge impact to be replaced by Director Tan. During the rebuilding, Colonial Director Addison had no colonial affairs to direct. That limited the influence she wielded and increased the scrutiny demanded. She has expressed frustration at the open-ended nature of her position and the ongoing need for statements about the status or lack of outposts. Though she remains eminently capable, it appears to be exactly the job she didn't want. Wait. Oh, because of how things are going? Huh. I don't quite understand that. Well, it's probably same for everyone. I mean, things aren't great overall for anyone, so I don't know. If we get some outposts going and people using their brains instead of their mouths, she might start to enjoy the place much more. Or her position and everything. Like everyone else. Pathfinders. Details of the missions and personal files of all initiative Pathfinders. Pathfinders AI partners. Pathfinders are highly skilled explorers, Right. Scientists and soldiers. But when partnered with the quantum computing power of an artificial intelligence, they become indispensable. Developed by Alec Ryder, my matrix was the pattern for multiple SAM iterations intended to partner with the Pathfinder, each traveling on their respective arcs. So are there 4 Pathfinders? Oh. The nature of artificial intelligence means that hosting each SAM iteration on different hardware causes multiple tiny variations. This results in unique individuals who are similar but fundamentally different to myself. Partnership with a Pathfinder allows continued development and increased empathy with organic individuals. Pathfinders go through extensive psychological training before being linked with an AI partner. Some do, some don't. Allowing full root access to an AI without sufficient preparation can result in unexpected and unwelcome side effects. Oh. However, those who are prepared and sync fully with their SAM are capable of extraordinary feats. Alrighty. Implants. Pathfinder implants. Well, this is Pathfinder folder. The first Pathfinder neural implants were created by Dr. Ellen Ryder, a pioneer in human biotic implant design. While biotic implants bolster and focus electrical signals along the nervous system, Pathfinder implants go a step further by connecting to not only the nervous system but circulation, endocrine function and exteroceptive senses. Synced with an artificial intelligence, the implants reveal their full potential. The implant is a two-way connection, giving me full insight into my host's physical and mental state, while allowing me to generate and alter electrical signals along my host's neural pathways that the body processes as its own. In a crisis, I can adjust the Pathfinder's balance, improve reaction time or muscle memory, or bolster biotic abilities. Quantum computing allows me to implement changes faster than synapses can fire. The main challenge for the Pathfinder implants was miniaturizing a QEC device enough to fit a neural implant. This connection keeps me in contact sync with my host. And the QEC was the quantum communication device. Quantum entanglement something. Role of a Pathfinder. Pathfinders are the tip of the spear for exploring new worlds. While planetary surveying is typically a long-term multiple team process, the initiative found an alternative thanks to Alex Ryder's AI research. An individual equipped with the best training and technology available and an AI partner that can run complex studies in seconds and 100 test simulations a minute. With AI support, Pathfinders can determine within hours whether a planet is suitable for habitation and direct the nexus as to what colonist block stands the best chance there. Pathfinders are trained to improve the viability of potential planets, initiate first contact with unknown species, find suitable outpost sites, and handle any external threats before the first colonist touches soil. The presence of a Pathfinder is a reassurance that a planet can be settled safely and with a high expectation of success. Yes, let's have some success. How many are there? Many. Arc species. I'm not sure if this is something we need to study right now, because they're just people. We are just people. When we start to communicate with some species, we might have a look at their background, their culture and ways. Andromeda species, that's probably the same thing. Well, we can see what the Kets are about. Data on the biology, culture and history of the Ket species, the little we know. According to Nexus officials, the alien encountered on Habitat 7 are known as the Ket. a species that has proven hostile in every reported encounter. Little is known about them or their motives. The cat possess technology and weapons at least on par with the initiatives, and have been responsible for the death or capture of many initiative personnel. The only commonality is that the cat have a clear interest in the strange structures and technology seen on Habitat 7, and as we now know, on several worlds in the Helios cluster. Scouts and prospecting teams trying to investigate this technology are invariably attacked by the cat, who take any scans or research materials by force. Why the cat have such an interest in this technology is unknown, but the Nexus has issued warning bulletins to all off-station teams to avoid these sites for their own safety. Flora and fauna. What about them? Oh, we scanned something. Maybe we have some info. Not really. We saw these, but we couldn't scan. We were so far away. Or they were. Both were far away from each other. Nicknamed a manta by Andromeda Initiative observers, this majestic creature has been sighted on several worlds in the Helios cluster. The Nexus scientists believe it may have originally evolved on a world with heavy deposits of element 0, giving it the ability to lower its mass enough to swim through the air. Expanding the muscular gas bladders on its underside allows the creature to rise and orient itself in flight. Despite its size, roughly 30 meters, the manta is not a threat to outposts or explorers. It appears to subsist on mineral deposits from rock formations, wrapping itself around rock spires or even against cliff faces to remain camouflaged while it feeds. Their camouflage ability suggests that these mantas have predators or other reasons to remain hidden, but thus far the reasons remain unclear. Okay, so 30-meter long creatures need to hide from something. That can be good. Planets and locations. Helios cluster contains many habitable worlds and other points of interest for the Pathfinder to explore. Habitat 7, which we've visited, and I think... No, we're not on that now, we're now on Eos. Actually, we just landed, but we decided to take a little break from the action and have a read. The planet known as Habitat 7 was one of the golden worlds selected by the Andromeda Initiative for early settlement. Signs pointed to a lush and biologically diverse tropical region that could easily support an outpost. With no communication from the Nexus or sister arcs upon arrival in the Helios cluster, the Hyperion approached Habitat 7 to begin survey and settlement operations as soon as possible, but even visual assessments showed that the planet was no longer viable. Habitat 7 is now a storm-racked world with an unbreathable argon-nitrogen atmosphere. Intense magnetic activity in unknown metallic elements interacts with the storms, causing interesting but highly destructive electrical phenomena. I thought Alec fixed it somehow. Oh, whoa, no. He couldn't have, because he changed it, I think. Because after the pressure wave, Sara's visor broke and it was bad times. So it wasn't really fixed. Maybe it was even made worse. The investigating Pathfinder team encountered hostile alien life and strange technology on the surface. Reactivating this technology caused a noticeable change in the condition on Habitat 7. However, the planet is still unsuitable for settlement, and the resulting activation ultimately claimed the life of Alec Ryder, the human Pathfinder. There we have it. I didn't even need to think about it. The Scourge. The Scourge is the colloquial term for a huge and extremely dangerous interstellar phenomenon sighted across much of the Helios cluster. It appears to be a cloud spreading in tendrils that affect planets and surrounding space, destroying starships that attempt to pass through or near it. Early study of the Scourge has been difficult, and it does not match any previously known stellar body, leading to many wild theories about its nature. Given the problems in observation and the Scourge's unaccounted effects on gravity, some have even suggested it is a dark energy phenomenon in the literal sense, meaning a form of energy that has no electromagnetic interaction and thus cannot be detected, hence dark, yet has strong negative pressure, causing expansive effect on a cosmic scale. Though the Scourge's characteristics don't match our current understanding of dark energy, these theories persist while further observations are taken. No long-range data showed any sign of the Scourge before departure to the Helios cluster. Nexus scientists suggest it must have appeared in the intervening centuries while the arcs traveled to Andromeda. One of the Scourge's more interesting characteristics is that it appears artificial. Its origin point is yet to be determined, but the pattern of the tendrils and the composition of the cloud could not have been caused by any celestial event known to astrophysics. Investigations are ongoing, though slowed by the deadly conditions created by the Scourge. The Galaxy, located 2.5 million light-years from the Milky Way. The Andromeda Galaxy is the largest galaxy in the local group, also categorized as M31. Of course it is. Andromeda is a spiral galaxy roughly 220,000 light-years in diameter, containing approximately 1 trillion stars compared to the Milky Way's 300 billion. The Helios cluster is a large star cluster located on the galaxy's outer fringe. So I think it's this thing. Andromeda has roughly 14 satellite galaxies which orbit the galactic disk. Evidence shows a disturbance where one of these companion galaxies M32, passed through Andromeda's spiral arm several million years ago. Andromeda itself is also accelerating towards the Milky Way at roughly 100 kilometers per second. In roughly 4 billion years, the Andromeda and Milky Way galaxies will collide and merge, forming a new galactic disk. Oh. Well, we could have just waited the Andromeda to come to us. Huh. Eos, the planet we're on right now. Eos designated Habitat 1. What? Eos designated Habitat 1 was the earliest golden world identified for outpost placement, named for the Greek goddess of dawn by Aegean Garson personally. Eos embodied the hope of the Andromeda initiative for a new start. On arrival, the Nexus discovered that a world projected to be arid but comfortably habitable was now ravaged by radioactive fallout from the Scourge. Nice! The planet's atmosphere is racked by storms that have spread the radiation across continents. Periodic 130 km/h winds strip equipment and damage shuttles. Reports from the Nexus include a sanitized account of 2 attempts to colonize the planet, both of which ended in failure and an unacceptable loss of life. There is also a significant Ket presence on Eos, apparently investigating mysterious signals on the surface. Eos is now off-limits to unauthorized Nexus personnel as the Nexus leadership believe it is no longer viable. Huh. Okay, we have to do something about it then. There's technology and ships and vehicles. Left. Information and technology used by the Initiative and other advanced civilizations in Helios. Exploration tools. Planetary surveying, especially if a potential settlement, involves meticulous scanning. However, there has been little pressure to improve planetary scanners. In its search for a better solution for its pathfinders, the Andromeda Initiative began with hardware salvage from Geth platforms and software developed by the Solarian STG. With artificial intelligence support, Initiative scientists developed a fast, accurate sampling system codenamed Panoptase. Panoptase? Panoptis? Panoptase. I don't know. Linking it to the quantum computing power of an AI, which can produce multiple analysis and predictive models in seconds. They created an Omnitool-mounted scanner that completes accurate surveys in moments instead of weeks. For typical scanning, the Panoptis system uses a transmitted accelerator mass spectrometer (TRAMS). This creates a snapshot of an object's components, atomic weight and radioactivity, and allows me to produce a more in-depth analysis. For biological materials, the Panoptis system switches to an electrospray ionization system, so plants and animals can be scanned without causing radiation damage. Cool! Field repurposing. With limited cargo space aboard the arcs for specialized gear and facing unknown dangers in Andromeda, the initiative philosophy is adapt to succeed. Colonists are required to have a wide variety of skills. Equipment and weapons are expected to perform multiple functions. However, this adaptability is fueled by non-renewable resources like ammunition, medigel, and power cells. Knowing they would not be readily available in Andromeda in an emergency, the Initiative Omnitools can recover or repurpose appropriate resources to serve a similar function. Liquid coolant allows weapon heat sinks to be reused. Organic compounds can be refined into medic gel and so on. So we use the heat sinks again. But do we have those solid blocks of metal that we insert the gun that then is being grounded to sand portions? I don't know. When these resources are available, the user is alerted via an interface between the user's scanner and their HUD. Jump jets. Once proprietary hardware for Turian Special Forces Initiative armor comes with jump jets as standard. These jets allow a user to make extremely high jumps or hover for several seconds. All colonists are trained in their operation to evade predators or environmental hazards, obtain resources, or conduct maintenance in high places safely. The jump jet itself consists of helium-3 micro thruster with a tungsten hafnium carbide casing. The gyroscopic element 0 core functions to both keep the user orientated in flight and lower their mass when hovering, keeping fuel expenditure down. Hard-coded safety features prevent continuous operation of jump jets to avoid injuring the user or melting their equipment. Consumables. While Andromeda Initiative gear and weaponry is designed to be as versatile as possible, extraordinary circumstances sometimes arise. Pathfinders and scout forces often turn to less orthodox resources to ensure their survival. They survive hostile conditions. Adrenaline is a nickname for a prototype Omnigel OSD package. When deploying, it bypasses Omnitool safeties to manufacture new heat sinks and provide a temporary but powerful boost to armor. Shield capacitor immediately overlocks a user's shields, bringing them to full power and giving them a boost. This boost is unstable, however, and will be lost the next time the shield is breached. Life support pack boosts the environmental management systems of a user's hard suit, enabling them to cope with environmental hazards for a longer period. Special ammunition packs apply a variety of effects of weapons fire. Incendiary ammo coats projectiles in thermite paste as they are fired. The paste adheres to and burns through armor. I'm quite stuck here. Incendiary ammo coats projectiles, which are like ground up sand, but they're at high speeds. What? That's weird. Cryo-ammo uses Bose-Einstein condensate to freeze an enemy or slow them. Disruptor ammo projectiles carry an electrical charge that damages enemy hard suit systems. The Cobra RPG package uses a volatile solution of Omnigel to manufacture a short-lived but extremely dangerous projectile. Launched from an Omnitool, it hits with the same explosive power as a portable rocket launcher. Oh! Omnitools are handheld devices that combine a computer microframe sensor analysis pack and manufacturing fabricator. Versatile and reliable, an Omnitool can be used to analyze and adjust the functionality of most standard equipment, including weapons and armor from a distance. The holographic haptic interface also functions as a communication device. With sufficient Omnigel or other raw materials, usually converted from salvaged light alloys, plastics or ceramics, an Omnitool fabrication module can flash forge small 3-dimensional objects or emergency suit patches. This allows quick repairs or modifications in the field. The Andromeda Initiative's Omnitools are designed for reliability and efficient recycling of materials. Pathfinder Omnitools take design inspiration from the models used by Solarian intelligence services, prioritizing the computer microframe to allow lag-free scanning and AI support. R&D settling Helios. What else we have? Ships and vehicles. I'm starting to get bored, you know. Technology, weapon and armor mods. Andromeda Initiative equipment is designed to be modular and adaptable to any situation. Which we know. There is a R&D thing in my ship. Settling Helios. Technology to build a new home from the ground up. Is there anything interesting here? Technology, charting Andromeda. Charting the Andromeda galaxy for habitable planets present a unique challenge. Observation is limited by light, and given Andromeda's distance, any observations from the Milky Way are 2.5 million years out of date. Enough time for a planet to have altered irrevocably. Huh. Initial attempts to identify settlement sites were made by obtaining Asari astronomical surveys and running them through predictive models, but Jean Garson was unwilling to risk thousands of colonists without solid information. Eventually, the initiative obtained promising data from Quarian explorers who claimed to have found a Geth array on the fringes of the Perseus Veil. This array was supposedly built from 3 mass relays using sensors in the combined relay corridor as a form of FTL telescope to observe dark space beyond the galactic rim. Why the Geth expended so much effort to study dark space is not known. Amongst these observations were near contemporary surveys of Andromeda. When our predictive models confirmed them with an acceptable margin, the initiative was able to begin identifying golden worlds. Oh. So thanks to Geth we know more. Communications and kick. Communications have always been a concern for interstellar colonists. Trade, defense and political representation depend on reliable lines of communication. The most sophisticated method is quantum entanglement communication. This utilizes a pair of particles that are linked on a quantum level. Any effect on one particle is mirrored instantaneously by the other, regardless of the distance between. Oh! Holy smokes. Maybe we should have left a few of those in Milky Way so we could communicate back and forth. I don't know if we did. We may have communications with them in real time, maybe not. Pathfinder implants use miniaturized kicks to remain in contact with their AI partners. However, manufacturing these particle pairs is a delicate and difficult process, especially with resources limited in Helios. Long term, the Andromeda Initiative plans to establish a comm relay network, transmitting data between buoys like by mass-free corridors of space. The scourge has hampered these efforts. Why do that? Well, if the resources are limited. To pair cake. I don't know. In the meantime, initiative starships act like maritime mail packets, carrying secure data packages that transmit to approved colony receivers once they're in range. Transmissions are limited by the ship's data storage and the capability of receivers, but improvements are ongoing. That sounds like a snail mail. Cryogenic stasis for many species early long-range exploration. Well, it's cryogenic stasis. Why we need to read about that? Tech and biotics. Element 0. ESO. Also known as ESO, the rare material known as Element 0 generates a field when subjected to an electrical current which raises or lowers the mass of all objects within it. This mass effect forms the basis of modern technology, from weapons and manufacturing to enabling faster-than-light travel. Element 0 is generated when solid matter such as a planet is affected by the energy of a star going supernova. Oh. Well, that's not too common material then. The material is common. Okay. The material is common in the asteroid debris that orbits neutron stars and pulsars, though mining such regions is extremely hazardous and requires significant investment. Various isotopes of element 0 have been identified, though the rarest have only been observed in laboratory conditions. Surveys of the Helios cluster suggest that the region is rich in element 0, which was a deciding factor in the Andromeda Initiative's decision to settle there. Without ESO, the Initiative's technology would quickly become obsolete. FTL drive. Starship travels faster than light using an element 0 drive core. In special relativity, an object approaching light speed effectively gains in mass until it would take infinite energy to propel it. But a negative electrical current running through an ESO drive core lowers the starship's mass, allowing it to travel at faster than light speeds. Motive force is provided by the ship's thrusters, chemical rockets, commercial fusion torch, or military anti-proton drive, in addition to the FTL drive core. Without thrusters, the ship has no ability to move. Standard drive cores build up a static charge during operation and must be discharged periodically. Otherwise, the core discharges into the ship itself with catastrophic results. The Initiative's drive cores intended for long-term voyages are designed to recycle or reduce static buildup. Mass effect fields. Element 0 can increase or decrease the mass of a volume of spacetime when subjected to an electrical current. With a positive current, mass is increased. With a negative current, mass is decreased. The stronger the current, the greater the magnitude of the dark energy mass effect. In space, low mass fields allow FTL travel and inexpensive surface-to-orbit transit. High mass fields create artificial gravity and push space debris away from vessels. In manufacturing, low mass fields permit the creation of evenly blended alloys, while high mass compaction creates dense, sturdy construction materials. The Andromeda Initiative's technology relies heavily on mass effect fields, from reduced mass supply drops for outposts to the impressive long-range drive cores on the arcs. AI. While a virtual intelligence is little more than a sophisticated interactive operating system, an artificial intelligence is a self-aware computing system capable of learning and independent decision-making. Creating an AI requires adaptive code, a long education, and a specialized quantum computer known as a blue box. In the Milky Way, artificial intelligence is considered a threat to galactic civilization. The Geth, synthetic lifeforms who turned on their Aquarian creators, are often used as an example of the destructive capability of rogue AI, and those who attempt to create AI without strict Citadel Council oversight are subjected are subject to sanctions or even arrest. Alec Ryder's research papers claim that experiential separation is the root of conflict between organic and synthetic life, that an AI sharing the experience of its creator would have no desire to rebel. My connection to your Pathfinder implant and physiology makes me the first iteration of this new approach to AI. Biotics. Oops. Biotics are rare individuals while the ability to create and manipulate mass effect fields. Given the correct implants and careful training, a biotic can raise defensive barriers, yank opponents off their feet, or shred an enemy apart at their molecular level. Biotic gains these abilities after exposure to dust form element 0 in utero, or via secondary exposures at a young age. Though this often results in fatal cancer, roughly 10% of those exposed develop element 0 nodules along their nervous system. Once activated by the body's electrical impulses, these nodules allow the biotic to create mass effect fields, though most need a neural implant to wield them effectively. Some species, like the Asari, are naturally biotic, but human biotics are still relatively rare and many view them with suspicion. The Andromeda initiative has proven attractive to biotic applicants. Ships and vehicles. The vessels and transports that make exploration possible. There are few. Ark Parchero is the Andromeda Initiative's designated vessel for transporting Salarian colonies to the new galaxy. Mirroring the design of its human counterpart Hyperion Ark, Parchero can accommodate 20,000 passengers and crew in cryogenic stasis. Parchero's development was plagued by early delays and disagreements between its senior crew and the Initiative's design team. The Salarian penchant for constantly pushing the boundaries of technology was often at odds with the realities of budgets and time constraints. At one point it was calculated that if every vital and necessary improvement suggested by the Salarian contingent was incorporated into the Parchero's design, its launch would have been delayed until 2204 at the soonest. After considerable negotiation and debate, a compromise was reached and Ark Parchero departed the Milky Way in 2185 in the initial wave of settlers under the command of Captain Lumont Haya. The Tempest. The Tempest is a survey ship designed for long-range, long-term exploration under Pathfinder's command. Its lightweight and efficient design allow it to operate with a small crew and minimal resources. Built by the Andromeda Initiative, the Tempest makes use of several once proprietary technologies, including an IES stealth system originally developed by the Systems Alliance. Wow! Many of these systems were permitted on the condition that the Tempest only operate in the Andromeda galaxy. The Tempest engine is a variation of the Ark's Odyssey drives that allow long-term operation, capturing a percentage of the static buildup in capacitors. The recycled electrical charge powers several of the Tempest onboard systems. As a Pathfinder vessel, the Tempest has research and development facilities, laboratories, and a well-appointed meeting space to accommodate dignitaries, anticipating any potential first contact scenarios. I don't think we'll have the meetings indoors. They're probably mostly at gunpoint somewhere, hiding behind a rock. I don't know. Ark Lucinia. Constructed in orbit around Pyaris in the Asari home system Parnitha, Ark Lucinia is named after a kingdom of wealth and learning in Asari mythology. She is built to the same specification as her sister Ark Hyperion, with internal modifications to accommodate Asari social preferences, and captained by Elonis Atandra. The Andromeda initiative was initially rejected as a human-driven boondoggle by many Asari investors, and the construction of the Lucinia was met with ridicule. However, the efforts drew the attention of several matriarchs who had assisted in previous attempts to send crewed missions to Andromeda, and their impassioned extranet addresses helped turn the tide of public opinion. At her departure ceremony, Arclusidia was officially blessed by the Atamna Politeia, an organization of Cyrist high priestesses from across the Asari Republic. Arclusidia traveled to the Initiative rendezvous point in 2184 and left the Milky Way as part of the initial departure wave in 2185. Ah, right. Great. Research capabilities. Pathfinders are often the first to encounter the new potential threats or valuable technology. The Tempest is therefore equipped for sophisticated research and development in the field to support a fast turnaround of any necessary upgrades or analysis. Its research center syncs with the tech lab systems, giving insight into the capabilities of the new materials and their potential applications. My connection to Arch-Hyperion and the new Nexus allows me to transfer data and latest discoveries from the scientists stationed here. Quantum computing enables multiple complex simulations to be run simultaneously, and new components or configurations can be tested virtually before they are even built. Tempest Stealth System. In 2183, the Systems Alliance and the Turian Hierarchy co-developed the IES, Internal Emission Sink, stealth system for small military frigates. It's unknown how the Initiative acquired this system for its survey ships, as IES stealth technology is classified. Despite valid security certificates, no record of negotiations exists in the Nexus legal archives. An IES stealth system is designated to capture the heat and radiation emitted by all starships in refrigerated storage sinks, effectively removing the ship from sensors. Initiative starship systems are streamlined to emit less electromagnetic and particle radiation and lower heat production. This reduces the amount of emission to be stored. Additionally, breakthroughs in cryogenic research allow the storage sinks to be more effectively refrigerated, allowing longer stealth time before the sinks must be vented for safety. The Tempest can remain stationary in stealth for several hours or travel at FTL in silent running for shorter periods. Surprising yawn. Arcnetanus. Arcnetanus was constructed in orbit around Event 10. What on earth is that? Oh, a once lucrative mining planet in the Turian home system Trebia. The Ark was named after legendary spacefarer Palix Natanus, who is believed to be the first Turian to travel through a mass relay. The Natanus is built to similar specification as the Asari and human arcs, but with minor changes to accommodate her dextro-amino acid-based passengers. Natanus is captained by the renowned Dea Praeton of the 6th Fleet. Like most economical ventures, Turian investors were turned on to the Andromeda initiative by their clients, the Volus. The Turian hierarchy was intentionally kept in the dark to keep the initiative a private civilian project. Arcnetanus traveled to the initiative rendezvous point in 84 and left the Milky Way as part of the initial departure 85. Tempest Labs. Tempest is equipped for long-range survey and scientific studies, which are carried out at the ship's two main labs. The biolab is equipped to hydroponically grow both Milky Way and Andromeda plant life for research or consumption. The plants also clean the ship's air and generate modest amount of oxygen. Sealed observation chambers are set up to study small fauna, sequence genetic material, or simulate bacterial growth in carefully controlled conditions. All biomatter entering or leaving the lab is subjected to additional quarantine measures. The tech lab is used for engineering and technical studies, spectral analysis using laser apparatus, and for analyzing the capabilities of discovered technology. New minerals or metals can be subjected to additional resistance testing before being used in the Tempest's research center. Because of the potential volatility of new materials, the tech lab is equipped with heavy radiation shielding and can be sealed off in an emergency. Last but not least, Ark Hyperion serves as the main vessel for carrying human settlers bound for Andromeda. Named after a Greek mythological figure associated with knowledge of celestial bodies, the Hyperion represents a breakthrough in intergalactic travel. Substantial money and resources were devoted to its construction, all privately funded by Gian Carson and the Andromeda Initiative. Built to withstand the rigors of a nearly 2.5 million light-year voyage, the Hyperion is outfitted with Odyssey Drive core technology, which allows the ship to make a 600-year voyage safely at FTL speeds. It features enough stasis pods to accommodate approximately 20,000 settlers and crew. Ark Hyperion left the Milky Way in 2185 as a part of the initial wave of departures under the command of Captain Nozomi Dunn. That was actually very nicely put. Done. Because I think we are done.